My name is Margaret, and I am 84 years old. For 59 years, I fell asleep listening to the same breathing beside me. Not loud, not dramatic, just the soft rhythm of a man who had shared my life since we were young enough to think forever was guaranteed. When people talk about losing someone, they often speak about the funeral, the flowers, the condolences, the moment it becomes official. No one talks about the morning after. The first morning you wake up and reach for a body. The first morning the other half of the bed is cold. The first morning you realize the world kept turning while yours quietly stopped. When my husband died, everyone told me how strong I was. I smiled and thanked them. Strength is a strange word people use when they don't know what else to say. What they really mean is that you didn't collapse in front of them. But strength is not what grief feels like. Grief feels like learning to breathe with one lung. It feels like standing in a familiar room that suddenly looks like a stranger's house. It feels like silence becoming so loud it follows you from room to room. For weeks after his death, I kept listening for him, the sound of his slippers in the hallway, the cough he always had in the morning, the way he cleared his throat before speaking. My mind kept expecting him to walk in carrying the newspaper. And every time he didn't, something inside me fell again. They say time heals. That is not true. Time does not heal. Time teaches you how to carry the wound. The pain doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. In the beginning, grief was sharp. It cut me open without warning. I would be washing dishes and suddenly feel like my chest was collapsing inward. I would smell his cologne on one of his jackets and have to sit down because my legs gave out. I thought I was losing my mind, but I wasn't. I was losing my life as I knew it. You don't just lose a person when your partner dies. You lose the witness to your memories. The only one who remembers your youth the way you do. The only one who knows your stories before they were stories. When I looked at old photographs, it hurt because he was the one who could say, "Do you remember that day?" and laugh with me. Now the memories belonged only to me, and carrying them alone felt heavier than carrying groceries ever did. Nights were the hardest. During the day, you can distract yourself. You answer messages. You make tea. You watch television. But at night, the world goes quiet. And in that quiet, absence becomes a presence. I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling the empty space beside me like a missing limb. Sometimes I reached out without thinking. Sometimes I whispered his name. The loneliness wasn't just emotional, it was physical. It sat in my bones. There were moments I didn't want to wake up anymore, not because I wanted to die, but because waking up meant remembering again. Grief resets every morning. People bring casseroles for a few weeks. They call more often at first. Then slowly, life pulls them back to their routines. Your pain becomes old news. But for you, it is still brand new every day. One afternoon, about 3 months after he passed, I was sitting in the living room holding his sweater. It still smelled faintly like him, and I realized something that changed the way I survived. I was waiting for the pain to leave before I lived again. I kept telling myself, when this hurts less, I'll start going out. When this feels easier, I'll cook proper meals. When I stop crying so much, I'll try to enjoy things. But grief does not leave on schedule. And if you wait for it to go away before living, you may wait the rest of your life. That was the day I understood something quiet but powerful. I wasn't meant to get over my husband. I was meant to carry him forward with me. Love doesn't end because a body stops breathing, it changes form. I began doing small things, not brave things, not inspirational things, just small things. I opened the curtains in the morning. I took slow walks around the block. I cooked one proper meal instead of eating crackers. Some days I cried while doing it. Some days I felt nothing at all, but I kept moving gently forward. I also learned to let people in again. At first, I didn't want company. Conversation felt exhausting, but isolation makes grief louder. So I said yes to coffee invitations, yes to church again, yes to sitting in parks where children played. Life didn't feel good yet, but it felt alive, and that mattered. One of the hardest lessons was understanding that missing him didn't mean I was failing at healing. Missing him meant I loved deeply, and deep love leaves deep marks. I still talk to him sometimes, not because I think he answers, but because love doesn't suddenly become silent. I tell him about the flowers blooming, about the neighbor's new dog, about how our granddaughter lost her first tooth. It comforts me. Grief experts might have names for this. I just call it continuing our relationship in a new way. The empty bed never fully stopped being empty, but it stopped feeling like a grave. It became simply a space where he used to be. And strangely, that shift made room for peace. There are days now when I smile at memories instead of crying. Days when I feel grateful instead of broken. Days when the ache is soft instead of sharp. Not every day, but enough to keep going. If you are living through this kind of loss right now, I want you to know something important. There is nothing wrong with you. Not if you feel numb. Not if you cry unexpectedly. Not if you feel angry, lonely, scared, or exhausted. Grief is not a straight road. It loops. It doubles back. It surprises you. Some days you'll feel almost normal, and the next you'll feel like you're drowning again. Both are part of healing. You don't replace a love like that. You grow around it. Your heart slowly learns to hold both sorrow and life at the same time. Does not cancel the other. And one day, gently, quietly, you will realize you laughed without guilt. You enjoyed a moment without thinking of the loss first. You breathed deeply, and it didn't hurt as much. That is not forgetting. That is surviving. My husband will always be the love of my life. That will never change. But his death did not mean the end of my life. It meant the beginning of a different chapter, one I never asked for, one I would trade away in a second, but one I am learning to live with grace. If I could reach through the screen and hold your hands, I would tell you this. You will not always feel this broken. The mornings will not always feel this heavy. The bed will not always feel this cold. Your heart will make room again, not by losing love, but by expanding around it. Wake up tomorrow, open the curtains, take one small step, then another. That is how you survive losing the person who is your whole world, not by being strong, but by being gentle with yourself, and by choosing life again, one quiet morning at a time.